Thanks for joining us on another episode of Different Roots Radio. We're joined by the wonderful co-founder of Keep Labs, Phil Wilkins. Keep Labs has started in 2019, and it is based out of Toronto, Canada. And what Keep Labs is hoping to do, or they are doing rather, is they are making a smarter storage container for whatever it needs storing, such as medicines, prescription drugs. So we're very lucky to have Phil here. So thanks a lot for coming in and joining us here at Different Roots Radio.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So Phil, before we begin, I know that you're joining us all the way out from Stratford, Ontario, and being a fellow Canadian, I know very importantly, big important things come out of Stratford, such as Justin Bieber. So, So did you know JB? And I'm asking for a friend, but hook me up because I hear he throws some really good barbecues.
Oh, I mean, I think he's more known for his growing of peaches right now, but no, I do not know JB.
Yeah, out in Georgia, he is sometimes, but it's all good. So yeah, regarding Keep Labs, real quick, we saw that you guys have won a few awards. So you guys have been named by Time as one of the best inventions of 2020 and CES's Innovation Award. And also Esquire, that's right, Esquire, I subscribe to the magazine. I look sharp for that very reason, as one of the coolest gadgets of 2020. So what is it that you guys are producing that's really amazing? And what kind of features make this cool gadget worth winning so many awards?
Yeah, I mean, the awards have definitely been humbling, but Keep is really reimagining the modern medicine cabinet. One of the things that we think is really, really important is a lot of healthcare workers, doctors, physicians, pharmacists, even the healthcare companies themselves talk a lot about patient centricity. The problem is that a lot of medical products are built sort of top down, where the patient is actually thought of last and they're almost told to use it. Our whole philosophy is that patients are in the driver's seat and they care about their homes, they care about the technologies they use, and it's 2021. The medicine cabinet is set in the bathroom for so long that we're just trying to make it sexy, make it interesting, and we really provide value that goes above and beyond something to store, something that can make you lead a healthier life while also impacting the healthcare system, which is obviously an important thing when you look at the global state of healthcare systems.
Wow, great idea. Who came up, normally you come up with an idea because there's like a need or necessity. Who came up with the idea? Was someone stealing someone else's medicine?
What's the story? What's the story?
I saw the coolest feature that if someone goes into your medicine cabinet of yours, you get a little alert on your phone. That is so useful for many purposes. But if you say, yeah, someone's stealing my drugs, what's going on here? So what was the backstory?
Yeah. So I spent my entire career prior to founding Keep in the enterprise software business. And one day I was traveling in Philadelphia to meet with a client and woke up in the back of an ambulance. Found out I'd had back-to-back tonic-clonic seizures and was diagnosed with epilepsy shortly thereafter. Fast forward to sort of my treatment and recovery from that. And I had newborn twins at home. They're about 6 months old and a 3-year-old daughter. And my wife and I were sitting around, and you've got your pill bottles on your dresser in your room, like almost every other adult. And I hadn't put one of the child-resistant caps on tight enough. And 3-year-old, like any curious child, starts playing with it, and there goes all the medicine. And thank God my wife and I were there, and she didn't ingest it. And that really was the genesis of starting to look into harm reduction, which was, I think, the first thing we looked at. And as we started to dive into that problem a little further, what we found is that it goes so much more beyond rather than just harm reduction. The big challenge when you look at the patient population right now is all around medication adherence, taking your medicine as prescribed, being responsible, so that you can have a better outcome. And, you know, that really was the exciting part for Keep. I mean, every 9 minutes, a child's rushed to the hospital for medication-related poisoning. 50% of patients don't take their meds as prescribed. The opioid epidemic as well. I mean, you know, it continues to take over 80,000 lives a year, and those are preventable life loss. So, you know, I think like any entrepreneur, you have that emotional connection to the problem that you see in the market, and you say, how do I fucking fix this?
Absolutely right. You know, have the connection to the product and, you know, find a need that's out there that's being unmet, and definitely go out and pursue it. So so your device is tamper proof. It has some sort of like cool tech component to it. So I'm like biometrics, you know, it's like, you know, I'm imagining something like it's a kind of safe kind of thing that Iron Man might use, you know, just to really get in. There's going to be some sort of realm of personalization, because let's be honest, like when I buy my cell phone, I buy, you know, my Samsung, and then I'll put on a case with it, and I want the case to be like my color, my shade, you know, maybe inscribed something, or, you know, being a basketball guy, I'll probably have like a basketball theme on it. So what is it that, you know, a guy like me, what can I personalize my own personality to this box? How can I do that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I wish I could overcomplicate it, but at the end of the day, Keep is a box. But it's so much more than that in terms of what it brings to an individual. From a personalization perspective, the way to think about Keep is we're the Amazon Alexa for your medicine. So it is actually an Alexa enabled. So there are cool features. We connect into pharmacy systems for your prescription meds. If you're not using it for prescription meds and you're using it for something else, you can have some real fun with it. So a great example is you can program Keep to automatically open at certain times, or through an Alexa command, and through that you could also time it to play some music. So for me, if I'm using it for something more recreational, I would say, hey Alexa, open Keep, and as it's opening, Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses might start playing on the Alexa. There's the display itself can be customized to say anything you want. The colors can change, anything within the app, you know, notifications when the weight has decreased enough that you might want to refill your prescription or order something else. So that's the customization, again, is such a big important component to Keep. We're trying to build a consumer electronic product that fits in the medical field, and something that hasn't been done, and quite frankly hasn't been done successfully thus far.
Yeah, and then I've also heard, I've not heard, I've read that through our own connections is that you've actually done a smart thing, and you've hired a pharmacist that's come onto your team to be your now CEO.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure they'll bring a lot of industry knowledge on, you know, how to use it in the medical standpoint. So funny enough, there's many use cases for pharmaceutical medicines. And you know, what's our favorite pharmaceutical medicine, Timang? Can you guess?
Are you setting me up? I'm not even answering this question. We're not in Canada right now. We're in the UK.
We're not in Canada, but here's my hint to you. It's legal in Canada and it's legal in US and 16 states.
In Amsterdam. I think it would be great for medical marijuana purposes. Obviously, strictly medical purposes, you know, prescribed by a seasoned professional from California who's definitely not a doctor, just in his boxer shorts on Zoom saying, yeah, I'll give you a medical license. Yeah, definitely medical marijuana would be. Because then if someone goes into your medical stash pot, you get a little alert. Really good for college kids. You should market it to all the college kids and whoever else might pop in.
And say, hey, with this bag of goods, you get this Keep box, you know, and then every time it opens, it plays, you know, Because I Got High.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, but if we're going down this this avenue. Do people say, have you just made a company which is basically making stash boxes? Or like, do you ever get that? Are people skeptical? Because I looked at it and it looks like the size of it's quite small and compact and looks quite futuristic, like most cannabis related products. So yeah, do you get that a lot? And have you thought about targeting shops, and which you're in Canada, yeah? So have you thought about targeting dispensaries and things?
Yeah, I mean, you know, after we won the CES award, one of the things we were thinking about is who the heck is going to care about prescription adherence product? What do people want to talk about? They want to talk about weed. The challenge is the only way to talk about weed right now is to talk about getting high. And I think when you want to reach the masses, even though we know the perception of cannabis is changing, the reality is it hasn't. Otherwise, it would not be illegal in most countries. So for us, it was, how do we reach an audience that will want to engage with us, but more importantly, want to hear the whole story? And so we did a fun commercial. I think we took it down from YouTube, but we did a big commercial around it, and how, you know, that was just an audience that just was a natural fit. It's not something we do directly. We have partners that you know, take over distribution specifically for that cannabis channel, because our team is so insanely focused on the pharmaceutical use case. But that being said, I mean, another great example just that lends itself to cannabis is ADHD medications like Adderall. In the US, if you live on campus and you have a prescription for something like Adderall, you need to have it locked up. It's a requirement. So this is just another tool that you know, is used to make sure people don't get into it as well, right? Like, as you mentioned, the notification, I mean, there's an accelerometer. So if anybody's trying to open it, or someone's trying to take your stash box away, you'll get a text right away and says, hey, someone's trying to get into your stash. I mean, you don't think we've had hundreds, if not thousands, of emails from college students saying, oh my God, I don't have to worry about my roommate ripping me off while I'm, you know, out for dinner with some date. So there's, again, keeps a box. So we're just trying to fit the modern household. And whether you're a student, you're you know, an elderly person suffering with suffering from onset dementia, or anyone in between, Keep is for you. And how you use Keep is up to you. And that's, I think, what's real exciting for us, is that we really are a smart home product first, putting people above any other enterprise solution we're trying to accomplish.
I don't know about you guys, but like, let's say if I brought the Keep box now, I'm actually thinking of like my grandparents, my grandma in particular, who's on lots of medication, you know, daily medication for one thing or another, bad knees, things like that. And, you know, I'm wondering, would Keep be able to notify me as to if she's missed the medication or if she's taking it on a day-to-day basis? Because, you know, I don't want to show up, you know, on my visit to her and then figure out, oh, she's not taking this medicine for like 2 weeks or 3 days or something like that. You know, having notifications shared not just to her, but also to me, is that a feature that Keep does?
Yeah. So one of the things I think that is probably, for me personally, again, the most important part of Keep is that care team engagement. I use an analogy of my 90-year-old Sicilian grandmother who can play Italian cards online all night and is quite, you know, understands technology. But
is she real? Is she a real person, or is she like a...
Nonna Nina is a real person. And if you want to hear some funny stories after the show, I can share some pretty hilarious things. But you know, she takes like 14 medications. She's got blood pressure meds. She's suffered from a hip injury. And, you know, when we were testing, we threw a Keep in her house. I was connected to it, my mother, my uncle. And because your dosing schedule is pre-programmed into Keep and into the app based on the connection to your pharmacy, Keep will open up automatically if you have the security setting off. When it's time to take a dose, the screen will tell you it's time for your blood pressure medication. And if she doesn't take it, and we have an internal weigh scale in the device, so if you haven't taken a pill out at your dosing time, it won't log it as you've taken your dose. So that automation is really important. But if she doesn't, I would get a text message. You can also get a notification on the app. What we found is people respond on average to text messages less than 2 minutes. But when you're in an app notification, you're, fighting cat video notifications from YouTube, someone sliding into your DMs on Instagram. And so that text message allows me to say, hey, Nonna hasn't taken her meds. I pick up the phone and I call her. One of the things, though, that was an unintended outcome is Nonna started manipulating it. So she would purposefully not take her dose on time so that I would call her. So, which is funny, but it's again, it's interesting because when you think about that elderly population, the onus is becoming more onto the children to take care of those elderly population. And a lot of products make them feel like they're old people. That preservation of independence is something that I think anybody who's getting older in life wants to have. They don't want to be treated like they don't know how to take their medication on time. The reality is sometimes they forget. And so a little nudge from a grandchild, a child, is all you need to get them back on track. And this aging in place population is only going to continue to grow. So the more we can enable families to be a part of the treatments for that population, I think the better it is for those patient outcomes. And if an unintended consequence is that you bring families closer, I mean, talk about a win that we didn't even think would be a win, right?
Exactly.
It's pretty special.
T, when's the last time you called your grandparents?
All my grandparents have passed away now, so I haven't called them, but I used to call them a lot. Also, to be fair, they had people to tell them to take their medicine. So they've got like 5 kids. So they had like everyone saying, take your medicine, take your medicine. So it wasn't really an issue for them.
But unlike, are you like me, who's like the first grandson or the first grandchild? And
I'm the first grandson, but there's a female who's older than me.
Okay,
so,
you're lucky. You dodged that bullet because for me, I've often reminded you're the first grandchild I have. You need to make sure that you look after me because the responsibility is on you.
Nonna, Filippo, I've got this keep box. It's telling me to take my medication. Can you make sure I took it okay?
Is it like, it sounds like a very futuristic device because you've got alarms for people who haven't taken their medicine or reminders. You've got like text if someone breaks in, and then do you have facial recognition as well?
Yeah, so we leverage your mobile phone for biometric security. So facial recognition, thumbprints, and we did that primarily because one, I mean, everybody has a smartphone, and all smartphones have biometric security nowadays. So we just figured what better way to secure it than leveraging those technologies, and
so you kind of
cheaper.
You hack through the phone. You don't actually have the technology in your device. You just
no. I mean, what's the point?
Hustling. I like it. Yeah, just
the infrastructure. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, then we have to pass the cost on to the consumer and to the our hospital or pharmaceutical clients to pay for a feature that at the end of the day isn't necessary. And I think that's one of the things, if you're building a product, you want to do it all. And you want to invent all the technology or put all the technology in your product and or service. But the reality is that in the initial stages, start with what's the most important and what's going to bring the most value. Because then you have this two-way communication with your patient. And if we find that patients say, it'd be really cool if I could just put my thumbprint on keep and it would open up, we might do that. But again, who doesn't have their cell phone next to them almost 24/7, right? So why introduce something that would potentially add $50 to the cost of the product?
True. And then actually, you've talked about, adding value and concentrating what adds value. You guys have looking to secure patenting. So what is, honestly, I can't actually think about it. We've not talked about this in the past with our other guests. What's the process like? Like, I understand that typically it can be like a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year process before, you finally get the patent passed. I'm not sure how far along you are in that process, but I'm imagining, there's lots of forms you got to fill out and things like that. Are you able to disclose anything now, or
yeah,
what?
so we have one patent we're hoping will be issued shortly. We've got some signals that nobody's filed anything against it. We've got a few other patents that are in the queue. My suggestion on it is hire an attorney. That's what we did. The reality is patents are only as good as you're willing to protect them and litigate them. And it's expensive to litigate patents. And so, I think you have to make sure that if you are patenting something, how novel is it, right? Because if it isn't, or if the technology isn't, it's going to be very difficult to either get it or very difficult to maintain it. And so we just outsourced it to a law firm that's specialized in it. And it really allowed us to think through how we built the product too. Wasn't too expensive. And because we outsourced it, it was not that time consuming. Although I'm sure my CTO and co-founder would disagree with me significantly.
So actually thinking of patenting in the pharmaceutical world, the things that you can patent are like from color to shape to things like that. So let's even talk about like Viagra. What is Viagra patents for? It's patent for its blueness. That's it. That is what Viagra has its patent on. So there's no other pill that can come out that shade of blue. So, what do you?
Tiffany's is like that too.
Tiffany's,
the
Tiffany's
baby
blue
blue that they put on their boxes, and yeah, that's yeah. Why are you asking me about Viagra? I know nothing about such things.
Yeah. Are you sure? Because this little birdie told me.
Lies in deceit. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. I'm gonna outsource the lawsuit.
It's all right. I know the guy that knows the guy that has a baseball bat.
So, like, what do you see? Big picture. Do you see your design and the function changing a lot, or do you see it just? You feel like it does a purpose, it serves a problem, solves a problem, which is pretty much the best thing for any idea. It solves a problem. Do you have ideas like thumbprint or anything else, or international, or you're just like happy? Because to be honest, it seems like you've got huge market. You've got hospitals, old people's homes, weed heads, weed dispensaries. You go like on Amazon. So like, yeah.
You say all this tea, and like
I was thinking about making this, and yeah, I see the pattern sounds a bit shaky. Maybe I'll go set up in Amsterdam and tea stash pots. I'll just come straight at the market. Tea boxes. Ooh, and I could design it like an actual tea box, like
exactly. And then put some British flavor to it.
Yeah, a little bit of finesse, a bit of British culture into it. Yeah, you guys are so savage and uncouth. We refined it into tea boxes.
No. So like, even thinking about it, like the self-storage game, like maybe this, because a lot of people now, right, have a lot of shit in the houses, right? So they want to store it elsewhere. So it's like they do self boxes, such as this big one outside my house called self-storage. I have to check to make sure I remember the name. There's U-Hauls,
the big yellow one.
Storage, yeah, that's the one. So like maybe you guys might be starting off small with some prescription drugs, and then all of a sudden it becomes really big, and you guys are now storing goods, golf carts and golf bags and all this stuff that I can't remember using. Or
stolen money and drugs and dead bodies, and that's where the money is. Mafia, they'll pay early. They'll pay 6 months in advance. That's good money, good cash flow.
So who knows? It's a $48 billion industry right now. It's at least self-storage. So maybe you guys can definitely upgrade your boxes to actual storage units and use biometrics to get in, eyes and all that stuff. So that Iron Man analogy I used might actually come into fruition.
Yeah, I mean, we're already, we're almost done our second product, which will actually be getting FDA approval for a medical device because of some of the, core functionality of it. We've got 2 other products that we're sort of in R&D right now as well. So we've got some really exciting things. I think, again, if you think of the sequence of a product's life cycle and its introduction into the market, when we launched Keep, it was pre-COVID. When COVID hit, it really forced us to take a pause for a second and start thinking about what's the world going to look like? How is this going to become important and valuable? And so we took it as an opportunity. At that point, I think we had 10,000 pre-orders. So we sent a blast out to all our pre-order customers and we said, we want to talk to you. So we've spoken to at least one customer every single day since May of 2020. And that is what has driven all innovation and product roadmap decisions. Instead of building what we think people want, we've really put the patient and the experience that people want to have at the forefront. So you'll see some really exciting things coming out in the next 12 to 18 months.
Okay. Well, I subscribed, man. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of it.
You spoke to every single customer?
Not every single one. We've spoken to one or two every single day.
Oh, every
May of 2020.
Is there one person designated to do that, or is that like
me?
Every day?
Are you sure you don't?
Even Sundays.
Business week. I have talked to people on Saturday. The coolest one, I talked to a 68-year-old woman who worked at NASA for her entire career, and she bought it for cannabis. She couldn't use cannabis the whole time she worked at NASA because of regulations. And so she was just getting into it. And she said, I used to keep it in a toolbox. And, I've got young grandkids that are always over. And I came across your product and I was like, oh my God, this is actually something that I would use. And little did I know you could connect into pharmacies. And now I can use it for my prescription medication as well. Like those are the things that just keep us connected to the mission of the company, right? And that's, I would challenge every founder as you're launching products, talk to every single customer you can, and don't go in there with an agenda. Go in there with, an open mind and allow people to tell you what they don't like about your product, more so than what they like, because that's where the real innovation and excitement happens.
I believe that. So this is, I guess, is why, you are winning awards such as CES Innovation Award. So, you're being able to speak to the guys at the end product users, and getting their insight as to what it is to change your product, make it better, things like that.
Even brand, that was an interesting one. We had a lot of people who say, we don't really love your logo. We don't really love the brand. We redid everything. We literally ripped everything up and said, all right. And we did a focus group with customers, both our enterprise customers, pharmaceutical companies, as well as individual consumers. And, again, give the people what they want.
Most companies or most founders are, a lot of people, there's a lot of ego in it. If you look at Gordon Ramsay, all these cooking shows, when they have terrible restaurants and he's like, this food is whack, like this shrimp is cold and it's frozen. And they're like, no, trust me, I know about it. And it's like, dude, he's a Michelin star chef. Listen to him. But you're confronted by the customers, Gordon Ramsay, and they don't want to hear it. They just want to say, look, I know what I'm doing. I cook all these dishes. And they're like, he's just he's rinsing them, and they don't want to listen. So what makes you want to actually hear the negative things about your product? Was this kind of your personality, or was it the company ethos? I've got a friend who's big on YouTube, Damien Talks Money, and he came on the show once, and he's obviously, he gets negative comments and positive ones, and obviously he replies to loads of people in the comment section, and obviously with the negative ones and the scammers, the trolls, he's still got to deal with them. And he's like, at first I didn't want to read the comments, but I need to interact with my audience and see what they like, what they don't like. And so I guess that's brutal, because you're going bald, or you look ugly, or your accent's stupid and you can't, or you need to get a girlfriend, stop making these stupid videos. So how did you say, I want to hear all the bad feedback? And also, do you actually put in the changes, or do you say, that's a good idea, we'll think about it? Because obviously it's hard to change. You change the whole brand, which is people get attached to the logo.
But you can't, if a guy, if someone comes to you and says, what, you're bold, I'm like, and so this bold is beautiful. And what can I do? Like, do you want me to buy your toupee or something? Like,
Okay, cool. But
you
if
know.
I was on YouTube and someone's like, "You got a spot on your left cheek," I would be like, "I do." I would like zoom in on. I'm like, they could all see it. I thought the makeup hid it, and they could all see it. And so there's certain things that will like get you. They might. People on YouTube and Instagram are brutal sometimes to like these celebrities. So yeah, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get good and bad. I think you have to have some humility. We had an idea for a product that we believed would solve a big problem for people in their home. And I think, when you look at COVID, harm reduction in the home is so important right now after all the lockdowns, things that people care about. And if you don't have that humility to be told that something sucks or something isn't valuable, then you shouldn't be a founder. There are things where you obviously are not going to take a customer's input and implement it, but we log it all. I mean, every response, everything we get, and we review it and see, oh, you know what, this was actually a really good idea 6 months ago that we thought wasn't going to be. And we'll explore it. We don't explore everything. We can't. But, again, the design of products can't be done in a vacuum. It has to be done with your customers, prospective customers at the forefront, and engaging with them and including them in that process. You're going to build friends for life to your company and to your brand, especially if they see that you practice what you preach.
So what are like some big features that an entrepreneur needs to have to be able to, navigate through a very challenging terrain? So what are your closing remarks to them?
Resilience. Nothing else matters, quite frankly. 9 out of 10 startups fail. 9 out of 10 startups fail for reasons that, could be from the idea just sucks. Nobody wants to buy it. And we heard that a lot. I mean, when we launched the company, everybody told us, why do you want to build a box? This is so dumb. No one's going to buy it. And we said, okay, but we tried. When COVID hit, you guys should really just put a pause on everything, stop the manufacturing process. We said, okay, thanks for the opinion. And that's our superpower, is resilience. And I think that anybody that's looking to start a business has to be prepared for those moments where you're crying in your kitchen because you put your life savings in it, or you gave up a high-paying job to pursue something you're passionate about. And if you don't have the stomach for that, if you don't have the stomach for those moments, or if you don't have a support system at home, it makes it tough. There was one day in the entire journey of Keep that I wanted to quit. And I was sitting with my wife in the living room and I said, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I have the stomach for this anymore. And she looked at me just deadpan and said, stop being such a pussy. And I was like, why would you say that? And she said, you cannot quit until people tell you that they don't want the product. And it was this perspective of, one, I couldn't believe my wife called me a pussy, but I think more importantly, it was that support system got me through that hardest minute in the growing of Keep. And it's something I remember because that resilience, man, if you can take things off the chin and smile, even in the face of adversity, you'll have success in ways that you might not even think possible.
Yeah, when you said you were talking about crying in the kitchen and you have to have resilience because of the failure and you've got to have faith, it reminded me when my cryptocurrency portfolio went from like 12 grand to like 3 grand in like 2 days. And I was like, you just got to believe in Ethereum. You got to believe in Bitcoin. You believe in the market. And the price just kept on going down. And I was like, I'll have it. But now I'm back up. Not
Doge going to the moon.
No, I'm not buying a fake meme coin, no. But that's the only one. I did buy it for a bit, but then I sold it because I said, what am I doing buying a dog that actually has no purpose? So yeah, but Ethereum and Bitcoin to the moon, especially Ethereum.
So T.
Diamond hands, baby.
Diamond hands, baby.
You don't lose money unless you sell.
So hold on for dear life, right? That's what you were trying to do.
To the moon.
So T, do you remember at that time I lent you some money? It sounds like you might have some money now. December. I can't wait.
Come see me in December when hopefully Bitcoin's at $100,000, and then you see everything will be a bit different.
Well, don't forget, I know a guy that knows a guy that owns a bat. So.
I need these lawyers, man. I need these. You know what? I'm gonna have my hard drive for Bitcoin. I'm gonna get it in a little stash box, and then
there you go.
So no one can steal my actual cryptocurrency.
That's another use case. Yeah. There we go.
Because all my friends are like, I don't want to get hacked online, so they bought these little USBs which are encrypted all their Bitcoin actually on a hard drive. So I'm like, oh, but where would you keep the hard drive? In your medicine cabinet. Excellent.
There you go. I like
the facial recognition.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll take my baseball bat to that.
Just how strong are these? Are these easily breakable?
I mean, you can stand on it and it won't break.
Okay, cool.
I mean, the reality is that we're not a safe.
Yeah.
Right. So if someone wants to get in, they'll get in, but you'll get alerted.
Yeah, and then I'm going to turn up with my baseball bat, and then there's going to be problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair. All right, thanks a lot, Phil, for coming in. We really appreciate you coming in and sharing us your journey and your wisdom as to what it means to be the co-founder of Keep. So how can any of our followers be able to follow you or Keep to be able to connect with you and or get your product?
Yeah, I mean, visit us at discoverkeep.com. Unfortunately, we've sold out almost 50,000 units. We'll hopefully be back for sale closer to the holiday season. And if you want to shoot me an email directly, philip@keeplabs.com, or if you just want to drop a note, hello@keeplabs.com, and the entire team will be able to see that as well.
Nice one. All right, we appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll be able to see what's comes in the next near future for Keep.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
No worries.
Peace.
Later. Don't forget to hit the like button to subscribe to Different Roots Radio on YouTube, Twitter, and all audio listening channels. Our talks air every other Monday. One love.